We have some Asian boys in the house. Place to have sex with Phoebe.
That Pablo?
Yeah.
We have crazy families.
Crazy families.
Yes.
Crazy families. Crazy families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like everyone was talking about that movie.
Richard what? KGF.
Not even some creep or something.
Could just crash into anybody's wedding.
I feel like that's the thing. It's like
Uncles would be like swooping in at the last second and stuff like that.
Yes. That's exactly.
It's a big thing in the city. Like,
Shit. I should go then. Yeah.
What are you doing?
What I'm doing this fucking podcast.
you don't get more Asian than me. You know what I mean?
The dreams that they want you to chase.
That's a loaded question.
This is your boy AJ. Welcome to the wild world. And ladies and gentlemen, we have some Asian boys in the house.
I grew up in the capital city, which is in Metro Manila. Just to give everyone like a comparison, so Metro Manila is roughly 2/3 the size of the entire 5 boroughs of New York City, but twice the population, so it's very dense, and only has 3 working train lines. So it's always traffic because you always have to use a car to get around. The entire countries in the world, the Philippines is only 1 out of 2 that has not yet legalized divorce. The other one is Vatican City.
Okay.
So, having said that, every other liberal standpoint, gay marriage and all these other things, abortion is not even close into the table. And I was like very much the odd duckling because I think differently from everyone else. Or at least my values were different.
I think like the experience for you that has to be completely different, right? Like having growing up with parents who are from Vietnam and experiencing this culture. How different do you think it was for you?
I think it's super different. It's tough because my parents raised me with a lot of Vietnamese traditions and stuff like that.
Like, were you the student who used to read for a single day and get straight A's?
No, I was a student that read the last day before it's due and got C's and D's.
See, I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I'm like I was a straight A student back in the Philippines. And it's mostly because I have like very strict parents when it comes to education. Anything lower than like maybe a B or an A minus is considered failure.
What type of sports did you guys play while growing up?
So I grew up with a pool in the backyard, so I was swimming a lot. Then when I moved to New York, I started playing a lot of tennis. And right now I'm on a nonprofit board for beginner tennis for queer people in the city. Which I tried him to get to do, but he has no hand-eye coordination.
I have no hand-eye coordination, so.
Yeah.
He's sticking to the gym.
Yeah, we both do the gym.
How about you? What sports do you play?
Actually, I played handball. I represented India.
Oh my gosh.
Do you play downstairs? The one?
No.
People were always playing handball back there.
Wow, where?
In the park.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's people playing right now, I think. I was looking at
Wow, yeah.
It's a big thing in the city. Like they host tournaments where you actually win money.
What? Oh shit! I should go then. Yeah.
What are you doing?
What I'm doing this fucking podcast. Oh my god! And like, which sport is big in Philippines?
The biggest one in the Philippines is basketball.
Basketball?
Which is interesting because we're all short, you know. But basketball is really popular. Boxing is also very popular due to Manny Pacquiao. Right now, there's a huge push for tennis, actually, just because there's a 19-year-old tennis star who beat like Grand Slam champions in like a tournament recently. So a lot more people are interested in that. A lot of the Filipinos that first immigrated to the US is mostly stationed in California. So there it's when you eat Filipino food, it feels definitely like but here, at least in the city, specifically in Manhattan, a lot of Filipino food is tweaked to cater to Western palate, So when you eat it, it's still good, but it doesn't taste as authentic as, what your mom or my dad or
I've heard the
who
exact
else
same
could.
thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see that.
And I have heard the exact same thing with Indian food.
There's a stereotype with people from the Midwest that they're really nice.
Yeah, it goes back to that facade thing I was talking about.
So do you feel like when you first moved here, you were a little taken aback by how blunt all the New Yorkers are?
People here, I thought, like, I got the impression people were like, oh, everyone's in your face, everyone's so mean, everyone just says what they want. But it's like, it's not in a like negative way. Like people just say
Yeah.
what they mean.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, they just want to get to the point.
Mm.
And like I would see people like holding the train open for people trying to get on, or like someone left their purse on a bus and someone would run out, make sure that person got their purse back. And I was like, people are here just as nice. It's just
Yeah.
that they don't. It's not a facade here.
Yeah. Like it's just people here don't have the time to
Right.
go
Bullshit.
around and come
Yeah.
to the point.
Yeah.
They just say out what's there and just move on with it, right?
Growing up, it was difficult to date just because like everyone's in the closet. It's like I'm queer. Here it's a little more open, but then there's also
Misconception.
yeah, I guess so. Because like in the Philippines, even in like heterosexual relationships, if you go on a date with someone and you continue seeing them, there's it's understood that you're being exclusive.
Mm.
You know, like you don't have to have that conversation. And then you just get married and all these other things. Here, you know, you could be talking to someone and going on dates with them religiously, but then if you don't define the relationship, you're not exclusive.
Situationship.
So
yeah.
that took me a while to realize like, okay, this is a thing here. I'm not used to it. I don't know how to navigate through dating through this lens. But yeah, so that was a culture shock for me.
Like the preparation for marriage is it very big because Indian marriages are like at least at 2,000 people. So
Ours is not that big.
not that big.
For Filipino weddings are usually held in a church, so it's the capacity is defined by how much that church can fit. It's usually like 200 people.
I remember when I visited Vietnam in 2015, I went with some friends, and my dad mostly kind of showed us around and stuff. He was like, "You guys want to go to a wedding?" I'm like, I don't even know who you're talking about. He's like, "It doesn't matter. People just go to weddings." I was like, "Okay." And so I went with me and my two friends, and my two friends are these white guys that are like over 6 foot tall. And then people would just go up to them and talk to them and like look at them because they're so tall. And I was like, maybe we were like interrupting this wedding. But it's like, no, people loved it. Like we met the groom and stuff.
What?
Yeah.
You could just crash into anybody's wedding?
I feel like that's the thing. Is like people just go to weddings as like a
How many were in the wedding?
I feel like there were a lot of people. I feel like there were
more than 200.
I feel like they're close to 200.
Wow. Okay.
As growing up, do you think there's some conventional thinking in Asian parents that they need to change? It may be anything about love, education, or the dreams that they want you to chase.
That's a loaded question. So
Yeah,
let me
that's
think
a lo-
about
yeah.
that quite a bit.
It's tough because parents, they raise you the way they were raised. And,
Yeah, right.
They don't do like if they do things that are traditional or like untraditional. I assume it's all in the pursuit of trying to be the best parent they can be. But I don't know. It's tough to answer that one because I think parents are like Asian parents and stuff.
Yeah, like parents are obviously looking after their kids. They want them to have the best life, but the environment they grew up is completely different to what we grew up in. So that there will be a difference of opinion, right?
Right. So
I mean, I do think there's some aspects of their values that are conservative, outdated in a way. At least in my country, Filipino families are very like meshed with one another. Like there's not a lot of privacy and boundaries. And for me, that was really hard because when I would try to establish some boundaries to be like, you're living in my house, you follow by my rules and stuff like that. But since moving here, I've learned to establish boundaries and find peace. Which at first they they didn't understand the concept, but then they slowly got around, when we certain conversations in the phone call, be like, I don't want to talk about this. If you talk about this, we're just going to end the call or whatever. And it took them a while to actually understand how important it was for me. But they actually got around it. But there a lot of Filipino families tend to, or at least Filipino people in general tend to, how do I say this, take things very personally. So even at work, back in the Philippines, before I moved here, I was like a project manager managing a team for architecture and planning. And I would be told that I need to sort of, if I have to tell someone that they're doing a bad job, I have to like maneuver
Mm.
my words and stuff like that to not be so blunt.
Yeah,
let's
you,
put it
you
that way.
cannot be like straight to the face.
Yes, and
Yeah.
like here, right? So
You're fired.
so anything that if you tell someone or you tell your parents that something's bothering you because of them, because of their certain actions or words, they always see it as an attack. So which is very exhausting in some ways, because you're not trying to attack them, but you're trying to tell them that what you're uncomfortable in a
feeling,
certain
yeah.
situation, and they need to realize that you can't talk to me in this certain way, or you can't bring up this certain topic in this certain way. But they always think like, oh my gosh, like I'm only, like, why are you telling me this? You think I'm a horrible person and all these things. So those are. Do you think that's
I'm jealous because like I don't think I'll ever get there with my family and parents.
really? Have you tried?
Because like my mom doesn't believe in boundaries.
Sorry, what?
My mom doesn't believe in like what you're saying about boundaries.
About,
Like, if I
okay.
said that like I don't want to talk about this, she'd be like, "What did I do?" Like
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, what do you mean you don't want to talk about this? And I'm just like, and I can't like, I just feel like maybe we're too old. I've tried before, and it's just kind of going into a brick wall. But like,
Yeah, and also, like, if we look at the perspective from how our parents are looking at it, because they grew up in an environment that was not aware of these kind of things, it's hard for us to convince them, right? Like, was it tough for you to grow up as an Asian kid in Nebraska?
sometimes there would be this crisscross where I would say the wrong thing, and my mom would be like, "Why'd you say it like that?" Or like, "Why are you talking to me this way?"
There's a term for that.
Yeah,
Code switching.
yeah, code switching. And
I don't know if
sometimes-
you've heard of that.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
So it's
yeah.
like the way you like. It's like you when you grow up and like I guess when you grow up like learning to speak and stuff in a certain household, and then when you go out, it's talk differently. And I would always remember having situations where things would crisscross, and I would say things. My mom or dad would be like, "Why are you saying it like that? Why'd you say that to me?" And I'm just like, "Shit, I forgot." like they think this term means this when it doesn't, and so there'd still be so many situations that still happens today where my mom would just think that I'm saying something when I'm not.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How was your first winter like?
Oh my God! Thank you so much for bringing this question. In my entire life, I have never experienced the weather like this. Like the coldest weather I've ever experienced is around 18 degrees Celsius. Here going to like
That's like
minus
70, 70
yeah,
something.
70 something. Going to like -6, -5. I was like freezing. And I was like, I need to get a car. I can't fucking walk. Oh my God.
So for me, that was also that was my biggest culture shock, actually, winter, because I've never experienced it. I've traveled quite a bit, but I've never actually got to touch snow. And, I was not prepared for the first one. Granted, I was like in layers. And when it first snowed, I was like, oh my God, it's so pretty, right? And then what the movies and TV shows don't show you is how it looks like 2 days later, where it's all just slush on the road.
To spice things up a little bit, how are you guys' dating life going?
Now,
Dating life for me is fine, I guess. I recently started doing Hinge a couple weeks ago, and that's been fun.
have you gone on a date yet?
I've gone on one date so far, and it's interesting because I'm not really an online person. I don't have a lot of social media, so it's tough because when you're online dating, all you have is your profile.
Which is also considered like a red flag for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly, and I completely understand that because like if I'm going on a date with a woman or something, she would probably want to know that this person is real and has friends and has hobbies and things like that. And
Not
so
an
it's-
incel.
and not an incel, not even some creep or something. And it's something like I never participate in social media that much.
For me, dating's been rough, I have to say.
Wow. Okay.
So when I've been here 9 years and I've been consistently dating, taking breaks here and there, when I break up with someone. This happened in my first year, which I found very enlightening, but also very sad. I went on a date with this one guy, and it went fine. The end of the day, or the end of the date, he told me it's not going to work out. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, did I do something wrong or
Mhm.
say something wrong? And he said, no, you're just not Asian enough.
What?
And
Oh.
that really threw me in a loop because like I grew up in Asia, born and raised.
Mhm.
I just moved here a year ago.
Uh-huh.
What? You don't get more Asian than me. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Did
So,
you know what he was referring to?
well, I asked him because I refused to let
Yeah.
it go. So he was just saying, "Oh, you're not how I pictured an Asian guy should
Mhm.
be in terms of in a relationship because
Mhm.
I love to talk. I'm opinionated
Oh, so he
and
wants someone that's
Oh.
like more like
More
Like
submissive.
submissive. Yes, which is what the
stereotypical.
stereotypical
Yes.
Filipino
Yeah.
people are. So a lot of people always chase for the next best thing. Like they have
Mm.
FOMO.
I think that's
Mm.
where the situationship stuff comes
Right.
from.
So
Yeah.
like they don't see what you have to offer them because they're always looking for like
Right.
let's say Nam has this one weird quirk that I don't necessarily like. So
Right.
let's find someone else who,
Yeah.
who doesn't have that
Mm-hmm.
instead of viewing Nam as a complete person,
Person,
you
right.
know. And this is very prevalent with my gay friends, my straight friends, my trans friends. So
And I think a part of that is being in New York when you have just so many
Yeah.
options.
So
Yeah.
many
And
options.
so you
Yeah.
feel like you can just keep looking, like
Mm.
why would you settle for this person that you've been seeing that you're okay with when you could find someone that will be that complete package you're looking
Mhm.
or it's just around the corner.
for or around the corner because like
Yeah.
there's so many people here.
So many
like
people. Like, if you have you dated any boys from Philippines? What is the one thing that you suggest people who are watching that be aware of people who are dating
From the
Philippines?
Philippines, we have crazy families.
Okay. Crazy families.
Yes.
Crazy families. Crazy families.
Yeah.
Well, crazy might be a little over the
Overrated,
top, but
yeah.
I would say like we have really big families. Maybe it's similar in India too, where
Yeah. We
your
have big
aunties and
families.
uncles would be like swooping in at the
Mm.
last second and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like getting in your business.
Yes, yes, exactly. I have so many things to say about this because, like in the life decision you make, there will be so many people putting their thoughts in that you have to do this. This is not right. This is not wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did you have the same experience?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't speak for all like Vietnamese families, obviously, but like I feel like when I'm around my family, everyone just says the first thing that comes to their head, and it's like they'd be like, "Oh, Nam, you gained like 5 pounds. You look bigger."
Oh my
and I
gosh.
I could be the exact same, but I just wore like the wrong T-shirt or
Mhm.
something and not have gained a pound. But they'll just be like, "Oh, you look like you gained 10 pounds,"
Mm.
and it's like, what? Like it's like, oh, it's a shirt or whatever. And it's like you
Mhm.
could be the exact same you were a week ago, but they'll just say it right in front of you. So
Yeah, they don't have filter.
there's
Like
no filter. But it's
and,
like it's
and if,
not
but if you confront them, they'll say like you're taking it too seriously,
right.
or
Like
you can't take a joke.
they when they say that stuff, it's not that they're being mean. Like they don't in their head and like the way our cultures are, the way they don't see it as something that they're calling you out on or being mean about. They're just being fun or being like
Or
it's like
ignorant.
ignorant, I guess. Like I don't like when they do that, I don't see it as like here. I'd see if someone did that to me here, like a stranger, or like I'd see it as like, oh, you're being mean. But in family, like I do see it as being mean because I was raised here. But like to them, they're not doing that in a
Mm.
mean way.
Mm.
It's just how
The
they
way
are.
that yeah.
So I try not to when like I get called out from random stuff like that, I try not to take it seriously. But like someone at work said that to me, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's because of like lack of education, either that's academic or like emotional?
I think it's just a different way of
Yeah,
communicating.
I don't think it's
living.
like part of education. When
And-
people around you are like used to it, it does
Mhm.
not
Yeah, it's like how they were
feel.
raised, and then
Yeah.
how they treat others. So
Also,
women I
like the
talk all the
first the
time.
first thing that you would tell me after 2 years is you tell me I'm fat.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
That's that's
Yeah. And also comparison between peers is also a big thing in Asian families, right? Like if your friend or somebody your parents know is doing good.
I think it's interesting that you have that experience. You have that experience, and I have that experience. And we all live in like different countries, and it's more of a universal thing. I'll share you two experiences that resonated with me. I find it one offensive thing that was told to me, which I didn't. Still to this day, I couldn't believe it happened. Was my first job outside of grad school. Sitting in a table, in an architecture firm. There's this one lady
Mm-hmm.
who's Dominican. She's an immigrant, and she said this in a full conference table of us eating. And she was telling me, "Oh, Rome, I didn't know you were Filipino.
Mm.
Or I didn't know you were Asian." I'm like, okay, like, what do you think I was? And she was like, "I thought you were like Puerto Rican or
Mm.
Hispanic." I'm like, okay, well, I'm Filipino,
Mhm.
you know. And then she said, "Oh, I didn't know because you didn't have
Mm.
that." And
That
I'm like,
was
oh my God,
yeah.
no one has ever done that
Mm.
before. So that was such a racist thing, and she didn't realize how offensive it
Mhm.
was, which was interesting because a lot of my coworkers there was telling her like, you can't do that, you
Mm.
know, like that is it's very offensive. So that's one that surprised me. And then this one is a little more happens a lot in my life, but when I would introduce myself to people for the first time, I don't tell them like I'm Filipino, but then when they would find out, they'd be like surprised as well. Or like I didn't grow up in the US, let's say. And they'll be like, "Oh, I thought you were from California." And I'm
Mhm.
like, What
Mhm.
made you think I'm from California? You know, like I never shared with you where I'm from." And they'll be like, "Oh, just because when you talk, you don't have an accent,
Mhm.
or you have a certain twang, but it's not that twang is not what I would associate with Filipino people
Mm.
that I know."
Mhm.
So those are two of the most two interactions that I've had that are made me think like, okay, some people see things differently
Mhm.
here.
You made me think of when I was in high school and I was doing show choir, like the dancing, singing stuff. We were doing like a practice or something for a song, and we were all practicing these dance moves. And the teacher called me out and was like, "Damn, you're like you should show everyone what you're doing because like your arms are so straight, your legs are so straight and like focused. Like how you, why are you, how are you getting it so well?" And I was like, just following your directions. She's like, "Oh, I assumed you did karate or something."
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh
Which
my
is so
God.
funny because it's not even the same country.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't karate from
I don't
South
even know.
No,
I don't know anything about
Taekwondo's
karate.
from South Korea.
Yeah, I don't know anything about martial arts or karate or anything. She just assumed.
What did you guys grow up watching in terms of movies?
Oh, I watched a lot of so I grew up in the 90s. So the things that my family and I would watch were like back in the day, like action movies, rom-coms. I also watch a lot of TV shows, which I think is why I don't have a certain accent when I talk
Mm.
English, just because, when I would watch these shows, I would try to emulate the way that they speak. So I watch a lot of Friends
Like,
growing
was
up.
that a conscious decision that you made?
I don't think so because maybe it was subconscious that I'm not
Mhm.
even aware of.
Mhm.
But I didn't make a conscious decision to tell myself like you're gonna talk this way, you're gonna change the
Mhm.
way you talk. So I've always had this accent growing up, and then I find it interesting because when I first went back to the Philippines after moving here, I had an aunt telling me saying like, "Oh, you now have a New York accent," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"I still talk the same. What do
Mhm.
you mean? You just haven't seen me in 2 years." But yeah, so for me, growing up, just all those like Mission Impossible,
Uh-huh.
Friends.
Yeah. I was raised on.
Friends series played a huge part in showing how the American life
Oh
is.
yeah.
Like there's this a character that comes in, I forgot, probably Italian character.
Oh, is that Pablo?
Yeah, Pablo, yeah. And how
Paolo
he,
or Pablo, one of those two.
yeah, and he also like tries to have sex with Phoebe when he goes to do some massage thing. Or have you seen any Bollywood movies?
I have not. No, not yet.
You should watch it. You don't know any Bollywood actors? None of them.
I hear it's the world's largest movie
Yeah,
production.
movie production.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I only ever saw that one movie everyone was talking about, RRR.
Or
That's
yeah,
like everyone was talking about that movie because it was like, so big. That's the only one I've seen.
you watched it?
Yeah,
Did you like it?
it's like a superhero movie. It's
Yeah.
like a superhero action movie.
Yeah.
Maybe you can recommend us.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. You should watch RRR and probably should watch some movies from SRK. It's called like Shah Rukh Khan. Probably have heard of this movie.
SRK?
Yeah.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And like I come from southern part of India where RRR was produced. Or you should watch KGF.
What's it about?
It's about a guy a poor guy who grows up to rule the world, and it's about
Okay,
shooting and
interesting.
stuff. Yeah,
Is it like an action movie?
action movie. You guys recommend me some probably any film.
Oh my God, our movies are terrible, so I'm not even
I
gonna.
I don't know much about.
So the Filipino movies are the biggest selling ones are usually like romantic comedies, just because a lot of us. The Philippines is very poor, so I would assume like they would like to escape and just fall in love, have this rich person sweep them off their feet like a
Mhm.
Cinderella story. So those movies, I feel they're fine, but they're not like 10 years later from now, you wouldn't call them masterpieces. So I don't even bother to watch those. If you're not from my country, you would be surprised to learn that the language, the native language that I speak, is different from the native language of a different part of the country, which I also found out through my Indian classmates in grad school is the same in India.
Yeah.
I had some classmates from Mumbai and I
Mhm.
had some classmates from Chandigarh,
Mhm.
and they would be talking to their other friends from the
Yeah.
same places, and this is me being naive and very ignorant, but I was like, can you guys understand each other? And then the guy was like, no, because that's a different
Different language,
dialect.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. And these are certain the things that you don't know
Mhm.
unless you actually meet people from this country or you travel to that place. So those are some of the
Yeah. Like, is the tourism big part of Philippines economy
yeah, I think that's our number one
revenue?
revenue.
Mm.
We had a lot of. I recently went back home in January, and there's a lot of people from Eastern Europe that travel to the Philippines and Southeast Asia in general to escape the winter. So, I was like going around these islands surrounded by like German people, Russian people,
Mm-hmm.
Italian people. I would talk to them and be like, "Oh yeah, we love coming here because it's hot, it's cheap." Specifically, I asked them, why did you go to the Philippines over Thailand or Vietnam or Bangkok? And he said, like, well, it's because you guys speak better English than the other parts of Southeast Asia.
And I think everybody's life is different, and there has to be some learning that you guys have been through. Tell me this one thing that you have learned in the all the years that you have lived. One thing that you think probably anybody watching could use that learning in their life. Something probably a guy, a Asian kid who's growing up in America, or somebody coming from Philippines, or somebody coming from a very conventional background to this country, and that could help them in their future.
I think one of the best aspects of being in America and New York in general is that you will always find a place to fit in. Like there's just so many people here,
Wow,
so much
that's the
diversity.
beautiful part of New York, I think, right?
Like
There's
you,
so
you
many
no matter
different
what your
things.
interests are, no matter what you're into, no matter how weird or how specific, like you will always find that group of people that are similar to you.
Yeah, I think my answer to your question is also similar to that. Is just to not be afraid of embracing your weirdness and what makes you different. Um, because when you move to a different country, that would really what sets you apart because you have a different perspective on things, right? Um, and that's what a lot, especially in New York, that's what they love. Is they love people who are different from them. They love diversity.
And it's like you don't even have to find that group. It's just other people won't judge you or anything
Yeah,
based on
Mm.
like you don't have to worry about hiding who you are or what you like to strangers or anyone else, even if they don't share that specific interest. No one's gonna judge you. Growing up, I always kept the stuff I liked or interested in, my personality secret. Like I always was putting on a facade. But here, it's just like people don't care what you like, what you're
yeah.
into, who you are.
Cater to your viewers who think that they're strange, weird, different, and it's when you move to a different country, so you can finally be the person that you want to be or live the way that your life should be. And I think that's something to embrace, look forward to when you first move to a different country, especially if you go to New York of all places. Um, you'll feel lonely a lot of the times just because you're not surrounded by family and friends in your support system, but hopefully you'll get over it really quickly and you'll be able to see that being able to be the person that you always wanted to be. Yeah.
And what is the one value system that you think really helped you, probably for you from Philippines or for you from growing up with Vietnamese parents?
Please.
Yeah, probably interacting with family a lot, because I get it. There are pros and cons to it, but in terms when you're in your lowest point, family members comes to your support or will be there for emotional support, something like that, or
That's basically it. Like my, I don't know. Sometimes maybe having boundaries is good. Sometimes it's not. But it's nice that having parents who don't want you to talk about it.
I think for me, just because like I was raised Catholic, I'm still practicing, but it's a very complicated relationship with religion for me. But I was raised in the teachings of the Bible and Jesus Christ and all these things where you have to be a person of integrity. You have to be a person of values, and you be the person that you want to be treated, right? And for me, that has served me very well, or at least helped me navigate New York in general, because the energy that you put out into the world, it comes back to you, right? So you attract the people that you put out with, like the energy you put out. You attract the people that respond to that energy. So if you're giving a person or giving the energy of you're this very well-intentioned person who thinks everyone should be treated equally, who doesn't discriminate, who loves everyone for who they are, like Jesus Christ, which a lot of people these days, especially Americans who are Portland Christian faith, tend to twist. Like that helped me a lot because it helped me become grounded, and it helped me develop these friendships that I have and attract the people who I consider like family in New York for me.
And I always want to wrap up my show with these two questions. Is there a regret that you guys in your life that probably connected to anything that you guys want to share?
Okay.
Well, like I think this ties back to like my school life is that I was always the decency guy and just trying to get through and doing things last minute. I'm like everyone else who thinks that I'm back and taking my studies more seriously. Uh,
Like, do you think that could have made your life better?
I think it probably could have made my life financially better in that I wouldn't have as much student loans and stuff. But I think it like because I still have those issues today where I leave things like last minute.
I think for me, I wish it took a faster realization for me that it's okay to embrace how strange and unique you are. I'm like 36 right now, and it took me like till I was maybe 30 to realize that you don't have to fit a certain mold of what a person thinks you should be, whether that's through family, whether that's through someone you're dating, whether that's through your professional career. But it should just be yourself. And it took me a long time to actually be comfortable in my own skin. And I wouldn't call it like regret, because too much regret, because it's shaped you to be the person you are today. But I wish you just realized it sooner. Is what I'm trying to say.
Just took long to get
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think anybody going through a similar phase, just probably realizing that you don't have to fit a mold that probably somebody else has created, and you could be your unique self. That's probably the learning you guys have to take from this podcast. And where do you guys look at yourself in the next 10 years? What do you guys want to achieve being in New York?
I just want to be a house husband. Sorry, you stole my narration. I just want to be a house husband with maybe cats or dogs and maybe a kid.
In 10 years, I don't know. I think about getting older, and I just want to live out in the countryside, around the forest, house, have a stack of books.
I can see you as a lumberjack at some point.
I just want to be able to take care of my own house, have a stack of books.
What about you? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Myself, this is such a loaded question.
And you asked us.
You asked us first.
So I think that success is very subjective. And as you said, having a dog, having that peaceful life is also a success. And
Mhm.
probably somebody who want to get to the highest of the level and do around 50 million, 100 million, doesn't matter. And thank you so much for just
Thank
coming
you.
here and
Yeah, thank
sharing
you
your
so much.
life with me. And
This was fun.
I got to learn so much about Philippines and Vietnam. And ciao.
Yeah. Ciao.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank
Thanks, AJ.
you.
Thank you.